Now, as a busy mother and as a homemaker, it can seem really hard to spend a lot of time with God because you're always busy and you have children running around that need your attention. But there are a bunch of ways in which you can actually spend more time with God every single day. And today I wanted to share those with you. Hey, and welcome to today's video. For those that don't know me yet, my name is Stephanie. I'm a mom to 3 beautiful kids, and I love being a homemaker. I am a true homebody, and I love everything that has to do with the home. And today I wanted to share with you how you, as a stay-at-home mom, and maybe even a homeschooling mom or a work-from-home mom or whatever it is, how you as a stay-at-home mom can actually spend more time with God even though you have children running around. So let's dive into those tips right now. Okay, so the first thing that I really love to do is to just read when my children are around. And that can look in many different ways, but what I love to do is when my children have their hour of free time in the morning between breakfast and school, I like to do a bunch of housework, but I also love just grabbing my Bible and reading a proverb, for example, or reading my daily devotional, and just spending some time with God. So it doesn't have to be hours upon hours all the time. Even 5 minutes and just reading a few verses in Proverbs can actually make such a difference in your day. So when your children are playing or when they're coloring or when they're doing something for themselves, grab your Bible and just take a moment to read His Word and to fill you up with His truth, because it is definitely going to make a huge difference in your day when you start that day with His Word. So that is what I really love to do. And it also, what I love about it is that it gives your children actually the example of just doing life with God. So you can read your Bible in your quiet time without the kids there, and there is a time for that, and I love doing that too. But it's also really good for your children to actually see you reading His Word, to see you devouring His words and really soaking up everything that He has to say to you, instead of just doing that in your prayer closet. Even though, like I said, there is a time for that, and that is really good to do. Which we'll get to later. But it is also really good for your children to actually see you doing what you preach. Because I can tell my children all day, every day, that it's really important to read the Bible. But if they don't actually see me do it myself, it can actually feel to them that I'm not doing what I'm saying I'm doing. So even though you might actually be spending hours before the kids wake up in His Word, they don't see you do it. So it might seem to them that you're not actually doing what you say to them. So that is why I absolutely love doing this. And just the proverb is just really nice to do that in the morning during my coffee. And it is just really fun to read that. And sometimes I read a beautiful verse and I will just tell it to them. And I'm like, hey, Mommy read this in the Bible and it's such a beautiful verse, isn't it? And we talk about it while they color at the table or do something for themselves. But I like to bring them into what I'm reading. And that is the same thing with my devotional. I'm reading Mom Heart Moments from Sally Clarkson, which I will link in the description box below. But that is a really nice devotional. And I really like to just think about that question that she puts at the end of the devotional. And sometimes I discuss it with my children. So I will say, hey, Mommy just read this and this. What do you think about this? Or how do you see this? And we just talk about what God says in His Word. And it's a really powerful time, especially to start your day with. So that is why I love to do that in the morning, but you can also do it later in the day. I mean, it doesn't depend on the time, but it's really nice to have that moment in the morning and to just sit with God. And that is just really awesome, which brings me actually to the next point, which is to wake up early. Now, this is a very obvious point, and it really makes a difference if you just wake up early and you set aside a certain amount of time to just be with God and to just read His Word, to listen what He says to you, to pray, and to really spend time with Him. Because you can read and you can do a bunch of things with the children around, but listening to God is actually pretty hard when the children are there, because you hear so much noise that it's really hard to filter out what God is actually saying to you. So that is something that I really like to do, just waking up early. And that can be 5 minutes to start with, and that can be like 2 or 3 hours, depending on where you are in your journey and where you are in your season of life. Because if you have a newborn, waking up 3 hours early might be really tough. So it all depends on what season you're in life, but I really do love waking up early and to just have that special time, just me and God, just being together, and to just build that relationship with Him. Because with every relationship, if you want to build it, you need to spend time together. So early in the morning is my favorite time to do that. Now, sometimes I don't wake up early, and then I do like to do that in my quiet time during the afternoon. So when the children are upstairs, which is actually right now, but when the children are upstairs, I sometimes just take that time and say, okay, I'm not going to do any work today. I'm just going to spend time with Jesus, because that is way more important than working. So I sometimes do that during nap time, and sometimes I do it in the evening when for some reason we weren't able to wake up early. So it depends on the day, but I always have time just with God. And the best time for me personally is early in the morning, because it's really nice to wake up, spend time with God, fill yourself up with His truth, with His words, and then start your day, because you will feel like, I can do all things with Christ who strengthens me. Like, this is gonna be an amazing day. Instead of scrolling Instagram and comparing your life to other people and seeing the news or whatever it might be, which can make you feel down. But when you read God's word, you can read His promises and you can read what He says about you, and your day will start so much better when you read that instead of reading the news. So I would definitely recommend, even if you don't wake up early, start with His word and skip the news for the first, hour to 2 hours of your day. Now, another thing that really helps me to stay in His word during the day is having sticky notes all around the house. And I've mentioned this before in my video, but I really do love having that. When I am cooking dinner, I see a Bible verse right in front of my face. When I'm grabbing something from the fridge, I see a Bible verse. When I go to the toilet, I see a Bible verse on the toilet wall. When I brush my teeth, I see Bible verses. So I am constantly reading His words and His promises over me. And it's really good to have those reminders during the day, because when I read that verse and I think, yes, death and life are in the power of the tongue. So be careful what you say, Steph. Make sure you don't say things that you regret later. So things like that will actually keep me on my toes, and it will really help me to just stay close to God every single day. And that is something that is so easy to do. You just write your favorite scriptures on some sticky notes, stick it on your walls or on your cabinets or wherever you like to see them, and then you just read them throughout the day. So that is a very handy tip that we implemented a couple of years ago, and those sticky notes are still everywhere. So definitely put some sticky notes on your walls. Now, another thing that really helps me to stay connected with God is to just talk to Him all the time. And one of the easiest ways to do that is to just pray during your daily tasks. So when you're folding laundry, pray and thank God for your husband while you're folding your husband's t-shirts. Or when you are cooking dinner, thank God for His provision and that you have a dinner to cook and that you have money and that you have a stove, that you have a house. I mean, there's so much to be thankful for, and you can constantly talk to Him. And it actually says in God's word that you need to pray day and night, and that you need to meditate on His word day and night. And the one way you can do that is to just constantly talk to Him. Just invite Him into your everyday life and just talk to Him like He was standing next to you all day long. And that is such a beautiful thing to do. So when I'm cooking dinner, I will just say, God, thank you so much for the food that we have. Or, Lord, thank you so much for my beautiful family, that I can spend time with them every single day. Things like that. The easy prayers can actually make such a difference in your relationship with Him. And again, in every single relationship, you need to spend time together, and you can sit next to each other, read everything about your spouse, for example, but if you never talk to him, how are you gonna build a relationship? You need to talk to each other. So you can read everything about your spouse, but if you don't talk, you don't really get to know Him. And that is the same thing with God. We can read His word and we can learn about all His beautiful characteristics and all the things, but it is also really important to just talk to Him and to just tell Him what you're doing. Even though He knows everything, He still wants to hear you say it. He still wants you to remember that He is around. He is with you, He is in your home, and He is ready to always listen to you. So that is something that I really try to remind myself of constantly, because I am definitely not perfect at this. I definitely forget to pray sometimes, or a lot of times, but it is something that I constantly remind myself of, and it's something that I really try to remember, because it is just important to constantly talk to him and to just be thankful for everything that you have. So there's always something to talk about because there's always something to be thankful for. Now, another thing that I really love to do while I'm doing my chores or while I'm cooking or cleaning or whatever it might be is to actually listen to the Bible or to listen to a sermon. And I can do that while my children are around because I have one earbud in and one ear is empty. So I can still hear what they are doing while they are playing, or again, they can be coloring or doing what they like to do. I am still around. I'm still there for them. I can still hear them if they need me, but I'm at the same time listening to the Bible on repeat or to a sermon, which is going to help me to grow in my relationship with God, but still be able to be present with my children. And that for me means that if my children call me, I will listen to them and I will kind of turn off the noise in my other ear. Sometimes I will actually pause the teaching, for example, but I really make sure that they know that I am definitely present. But if they're not talking to me, I might as well listen to something, right? So while I'm cooking, I love to do that because usually when I'm cooking, they are done. We have had an entire day as a family. They kind of had enough of me. So they want to do something themselves, and I can do something for me at the same time as I'm cooking. So that is just a beautiful way to really listen to God's word and to keep that in my mind all the time and in my thoughts all the time without having to sit down for 3 hours and study the word by word. So that is something that is really helpful for us busy moms. And lastly, one of my favorite ways to actually stay connected to God is to involve my children in the conversation. So I love to just spend time with my children and talking about God and to just letting them know what is in the Bible, what God teaches them, and things like that. So that is something that we basically do all day, every day. Whenever we see something that reminds me of a Bible verse, I will just mention the verse to them and we will talk about what God says in his word. And the thing is, when you as a mom have a very healthy relationship with God, and when you are constantly filling yourself up with his words and talking to him and constantly doing life with God, then it's not that hard to get your children involved. So we read a book and it's about something that reminds me of a Bible verse, and we just talk about it. I will read the verse to them. Now, one way this can look is when you walk outside and you see beautiful flowers and you see birds and you start talking about how God created the world, for example. You can talk about Genesis and how God created it, how many days it took, so you can go into that direction. But you can also talk about how God says in his word that he will take care of the flowers, that he dresses the flowers, he takes care of the birds. So why would he not take care of you? So you can go in many different ways if you just go outside, go to the park and see his beautiful creation. Not only does it help your children to grow into their relationship with God and to really see who God is for them and what Jesus did for them, but it also helps you to constantly keep those verses in your remembrance and to constantly think about God does so many beautiful things. And it's really important to help your children grow in that relationship, but it also helps you to keep those verses in your mind constantly and to keep thinking about what God has done for you and how beautiful he made the world and how amazing it is that every time you go outside, every time you see the birds and the flowers and all the beautiful things that he created in nature, it always reminds you of what God did. And you can tell so many beautiful stories when you just go to the park. So that is one way that I really love having my children involved in my relationship with him and helping them build their relationship with him as well. So anyway, those are a few ways that I love to spend time with God during my day. And if you do this every day, you will be amazed at how much time you actually get to spend with God and just talking with him and just reading about how beautiful and amazing he is. So I really want to encourage you to try one or two of these and just spend more time with him, even though we might be busy and there's a lot of things constantly on your mind. Maybe it is important to spend time with God. So I really hope that this was encouraging to you, that this inspired you to get into his word, to talk to him more. I really hope that my videos help you to get closer to God and to really embrace what God has made you to be and to really embrace your role as a homemaker, but most of all, to embrace your role as a daughter of Christ, because that is your most important role in life. So that is what I really hope to bring across in my videos, and I hope that I was able to do that today. And if you love this video, I would love for you to like it, leave me a comment, let me know what you think of it, and I hope to see you in my next video.